Hi, this is Daniel Thomas Andrew Daly here. This is a Noahide sermon on God tests our obedience. God tests our obedience. Now, Noah built the damn ark. In the end, he actually went off and did it. He could have partied hard with all the sinners, and maybe built a vineyard, got blotto, maybe smoked a bit of dope, because I suppose they had marijuana back then, who knows, but got high and just partied hard and lived the lifestyle, had his fun, and being with the world and worldly and not giving a crap. And said, build an ark, stuff that, I'll just party hard, I'll worship the serpent and party hard, dude. Could have done all of that. Maybe they did worship the serpent. Maybe they were serpent worshippers, who knows? Old-fashioned idolatry, who knows? But doesn't really say there's idolatry going on in the early parts of the Rainbow Tour. It doesn't say it. Maybe it happened, but it doesn't say anything. It's not stated, but who knows? But Noah, he wasn't a Bayer. Noah did obey God in the end. He built the ark. So when God tested Noah's obedience, Noah obeyed. It says there in Genesis, and Noah obeyed the commands of the Lord. And because Noah obeyed, he got saved. He received salvation for him and his family, redeemed from all those who didn't obey. They didn't obey God. They were following wickedness, and God didn't want them. Didn't even want them. It already passed over them. Already not giving a damn about them, because they were wicked in their hearts, practicing wickedness and lawlessness. But God tested Noah. We found righteousness in his generations, and Noah passed that test. So as Noahides, we have an example that we should obey God. And when God sets us a test, sets us something to do, we should obey him and do that work. God tests our obedience. Now, God doesn't tempt us, but will allow us to be tempted, will allow us to be tested. When he made the Garden of Eden and placed Adam and then Eve in the Garden of Eden, he also put in a tree of life, which would give them eternal life. And if they were holy and doing things right with God and probably obeying him, I guess, they would have partaken of that tree of life and lived forever on earth, and it would have been paradise. And it would have probably been grand and holy, and it would have been great. But God, in providing that life for them, there was also a counterpoint in a way, an opposing element, because God wanted to test them. Because he put in with the tree of life in the Garden of Eden, there was also a tree of knowledge of good and evil. And God said to the innocent Adam and Eve, "Don't eat that fruit. Fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, don't eat it. The day you eat thereof, you shall surely die." So God wanted to test Adam and Eve's obedience to him. Now, this is interesting. They were young, they were innocent, they were naive, they had just been born into the world, they were fresh, they were innocent newborns in a way. And what we know from that is that even fresh, new, innocent, first humans with no history of sin and death in mankind to draw knowledge from and experience from to guide you, even there, God will still test. So don't be surprised if you're young in your faith, God might test you straight away. If you've just come into a faith, God might test you straight away practically. Don't be surprised if he does. So God tested the obedience of Adam and Eve, and they failed. And because they failed, he cast them out of the Garden of Eden. He clothed them, gave them, because they knew they were naked after failing that test. And they were embarrassed about their nakedness, and sacrificing lambs or something, skins, and clothed them with skins. So he compensated them somewhat for their embarrassment of their sins. He forgave them somewhat, perhaps. He took care of practical concerns, but he kicked them out of the garden. So, when you disobey, God tests your obedience, and he will test your obedience to see if you'll obey him or not. And if you disobey, punishment. And if you obey, like Noah, life and salvation. So God tests our obedience.